Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a really fascinating story about wealth, power, and, well, choice. We're focusing on Lukas Walton. Now, our sources paint this picture of a man who's, incredibly wealthy. The estimate is around US $41.7 billion as of September 2025. Grandson of Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. So, by birth, by inheritance, he could easily have walked into the CEO office at Walmart. I mean, one of the biggest companies on the planet. But he didn't. He actively chose not to take that role. And that's the real head-scratcher here, isn't it? Why turn down that kind of obvious power, that throne?
It's a great question. And what the research strongly suggests is this wasn't him just rejecting the money or the family business, not at all. It was actually a very deliberate, almost radical redirection of that power. So our mission today is to kind of unpack that. How does he use this immense capital, not for retail, but to, quietly try and reshape huge global systems, often in areas that the normal market just won't touch. Too risky, too slow for them. We're really looking at a live example of taking inherited wealth and flipping the script from preservation, like guarding a treasure, to activation, using it as a lever for change.
Okay, so let's start right there. That big decision, rejecting the C-suite. Lukas Walton gets this huge stake when his father, John T. Walton, dies back in 2005. The family still holds, nearly half of Walmart shares through various entities?
That's right, yeah. Through Walton Enterprises and Trusts, significant control.
Yet he has zero executive role. No CEO title, not on the board, nothing. He's completely outside the operational structure, which is just... It's wild. Most dynasties, they spend decades grooming the next leader for that exact spot. He just took the influence and stepped aside?
Well, stepped aside is one way to put it, but the analysis we looked at suggests that move is the strategy. For Walton, power doesn't need that official corporate title, and the why is key here. By staying outside Walmart's day-to-day, he's not, and this is a quote, shackled by quarterly earnings reports or market pressures.
Okay. That makes sense.
Think about it. Running a public company means maximizing shareholder value, often quarter by quarter.
Right.
You're sort of beholden to that rhythm.
You can't easily say, hey, we're investing in something that pays off in 50 years.
Exactly. Your investors would likely revolt. By staying out, he essentially bought himself the ultimate luxury time, the freedom to think and act on a much, much longer time scale for deep systemic impact.
So trading that immediate, very visible corporate power for something?
Yeah.
Quieter, slower, but maybe more fundamental.
Precisely. The sources actually call it a reinvention.
Yeah.
Saying he redesigned what it means to inherit power, shifting the focus.
Okay, that shift connects directly to how he sees money itself. Like you said, not preservation, but activation, deploying it.
Yes, and the scale is just immense. He's committed US $15 billion with a B of his own money through his platform, Builder's Vision.
$15 billion dedicated to environmental and social issues.
Right, it's a huge number.
But hang on, let me push back a bit there. Ultra-wealthy people are always involved in philanthropy, right? Big foundations, big donations. Is this US $15 billion just, a really big, well-branded version of that? Or is it structurally different?
That's the crucial point, and the sources are quite clear on this. It is structurally different. He doesn't seem to frame Builder's Vision as traditional charity. It's framed as capital reallocation. He's not just writing checks to good causes. He's actively moving huge amounts of capital into gaps the standard markets ignore. Think ecosystems, regenerative agriculture, ocean health.
Gaps ignored because why? Too risky, not profitable enough quickly.
Both, often. The timeline for a return, if there even is a conventional return, might be decades out. So venture capital, private equity, they usually won't touch it. He's stepping into that void.
Using money to fix a structural problem, not just patch symptoms.
That's the idea. And there's this rare quote from him that really hits it. He wants to invest in the systems that support life, not just, make money off them in the short term.
That flips the whole purpose of the capital, doesn't it? From something to guard to something to deploy. A lever.
Exactly, a lever. And, that core idea, that's relevant for everyone listening, not just billionaires.
How so?
Well, the lesson isn't really about the amount of money. It's about the mindset shift. What if you started thinking about your own resources, your time, skills, influence, whatever they are, as capital that needs to be activated for some larger purpose? The question then becomes, what are you willing to move? What are you holding back that could be put to work on a longer-term goal, even a small one?
That's a powerful framing, shifting from defense to offense with what you have. Okay, so let's talk about how he actually does this. If you're moving US $15 billion around, you'd expect a media service. But he's known as the silent operator, like zero public social media. His first major interview wasn't until 2023. That's nearly 2 decades into this work.
Yeah, that quietness is absolutely by design. He's building this whole ecosystem through Builder's Vision and its investment arm, S2G Ventures.
S2G, what do they focus on?
S2G is more like an infrastructure and venture fund. They make these long-term bets, often early stage, in things like clean energy, food tech, agriculture tech.
But quietly?
Very quietly. By staying out of the spotlight, the focus stays purely on the outcome, on the work itself. There's no need for the big press conferences, the look at me announcements that often come with billionaire initiatives.
Okay, let's make that concrete. Give us an example of this quiet influence in action. The Bahamas initiative sounds fascinating. It wasn't just a donation, right?
Not at all. It was much more complex and, frankly, quite ingenious. In 2024, Builder's Vision stepped in for the Bahamas. They didn't just give money for, say, a marine park. They provided a U.S. $70 million financial guarantee. This helped the Bahamas restructure its national debt. It gave them breathing room financially.
Okay, a guarantee on debt restructuring. How does that connect to the environment? Here's the clever part. It wasn't just a favor, it was a deal. A sophisticated financial negotiation. In exchange for that debt relief guarantee, the Bahamas committed future government resources specifically to marine conservation funding.
Wow, so he used a financial instrument, debt restructuring, as leverage to secure long-term conservation funding from the country itself.
Exactly. The sources calculated that this move unlocked over U.S. $124 million in guaranteed nature protection funding for the Bahamas over the next 15 years.
That's incredible.
It really is. And the researchers called this specific type of action climate diplomacy, done without press releases or branded photo shoots. It's embedded influence, subtle, using finance to get an environmental win.
Letting the work speak, not the wealth, as his partners apparently say.
That seems to be the mantra.
It really challenges our idea of leadership, doesn't it? Maybe the biggest impacts happen quietly through careful orchestration, not loud pronouncements. So this focus on ecosystems, oceans, agriculture, it feels very specific. Where does it come from? It's not random, is it? The sources point to something deeply personal. Absolutely not random. It's rooted in his childhood. Lukas was diagnosed with a rare kidney cancer when he was just a toddler. A really serious battle early in life.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and a key part of that story is his mother, Lukas Walton. She firmly believed that organic food, natural approaches played a really significant role in his recovery.
So that personal experience connecting his own health directly to food and environment.
It seems to have forged this core belief in him. Human health and planetary health are fundamentally intertwined. You cannot separate them.
Okay, now the investment focus makes complete sense. Clean energy, regenerative agriculture, ocean health, it's all part of that interconnected system. It's a continuation of that personal health journey, but on a global scale.
Yes, and you even see this reflected in the language they choose to use. Builder's Vision deliberately avoids the common term impact investing.
Right, you mentioned that. They use systems investing instead. What's the actual difference for us, the listener?
Well, impact investing often still prioritizes financial return, looking for investments that also happen to do some good, maybe meet some ESG criteria. It's often about finding profitable overlaps.
Right.
Systems investing, as they seem to define it, is more about fixing the underlying structure. It means funding the stuff that isn't necessarily glamorous or immediately profitable, but is essential for the system to function healthily.
Like fixing the plumbing, not just redecorating the bathroom.
That's a great analogy. It might involve funding research into soil health or creating financial models to manage deep-sea resources responsibly. The unsexy foundational work.
And that quote again.
Right. I don't want to invest in what's popular. I want to invest in what supports life.
Yeah.
That really captures the distinction, I think.
Investing in the plumbing. That brings us to the long game. You said his influence isn't just about being loud. It's designed to be replicable. He's building blueprints others can copy.
It's exactly right. The goal isn't for Lukas Walton to be the sole hero saving the planet. It's to create successful models, patterns, that other large pools of capital, other family offices, sovereign wealth funds can look at and say, hey, that works. We can do that too.
And is that happening? Are others copying these models?
The research suggests yes. Those complex nature finance deals like the one in the Bahamas, similar structures are reportedly now being replicated elsewhere. Africa, the Pacific Islands, Latin America.
So influence through mimicry, not through headlines.
Precisely. The success of the structure itself becomes the influence. He doesn't need the personal credit. if the model gets adopted globally.
Which ties back perfectly to him rejecting the short-term pressures of Walmart. He's not playing by quarterly cycles. He's operating on, what did the sources call it, a planetary timeline, a 50-year horizon.
Yeah, 50-year horizon, thinking in terms of decades, not quarters.
But let's be critical for a moment. Isn't operating on a 50-year timeline, especially with new, unproven sustainability tech, incredibly risky? Doesn't that lack of short-term accountability sometimes lead to wasted capital or inefficiency?
That's a totally valid concern, and it touches on the potential critique of this approach. Does it work efficiently? He seems to acknowledge that risk. Moving early means betting on things that might fail. Systemic change is messy and takes decades. This is where he really diverges from conventional finance.
How so?
Well, typical investors, even ESG-focused ones, they want return with compliance. The sources suggest Lukas is willing to, quote, hold risk, not just return.
Hold risk, not just return.
Meaning he's funding the uncertain early-stage R&D, the pilot projects that might not pan out, the stuff a traditional VC fund might deem too speculative or too slow.
So failure is part of the process.
It seems treated more like data collection, like iteration, rather than a failure to be punished on the next earnings call. He appears to understand that achieving century-long goals requires making high-conviction bets now, bets with very long lock-in periods, which, as you know, goes against almost every rule in modern finance.
It's a completely different operating system for capital. Wow. Okay, let's try and pull this all together. What an incredible look at the architecture of modern power. To synthesize this, Lukas Walton didn't just say no to a powerful job. He seems to have actively redefined what leadership with capital can even look like. His legacy isn't being built through position or ownership, but through, what was it, orchestration and pattern?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Orchestration and pattern. And I think that framework, that mindset, holds a really potent lesson for you, the listener.
Which is?
You don't need billions to adopt this way of thinking. The real takeaway is about having the courage to shift your own mindset. From just preserving what you have to actively activating it. Maybe choosing a longer, quieter, potentially bolder definition of what it is you want to build or contribute to.
So the question for everyone listening is, what would you do with the influence you already possess right now in your own life, your own work?
Yeah. What would you try to build if you adopted that 50-year horizon? If you didn't need the credit, didn't need the immediate applause, and didn't feel like you needed permission?
A profound question indeed. Definitely something to think about this week. Thanks for diving deep with us.